Hello, how are you everyone? How are you doing? I am Dr. Chapook Abdurrahman. I am an orthopedic surgeon. I am a lucky man to see you and hear from you. Anyhow, I am recording that at my home in order to give you a message. I want to record that finding with my name, and it is free to everyone who want to use it in any way, in how way, I don't care. I don't want a copywriting. I just want to be written by my name. This finding is new. It changes the history of our knowledge about iron. Fe, iron. I didn't invent a new thing, just I arranged the puzzle. So the arrangement of the puzzle, I want to be written by name, my name. The other thing is, all of us are sharing it, but the arrangement of the puzzle, I name it life cycle of the iron on Earth. This is the new thing. Life cycle of the iron on Earth should be written in my name as a finding. So let us to start the journey. Everyone know that we have a bone in our bodies, and this bone is have Harversian canals. You remember that bones have Harversian canal and canalicules in the Harversian system. So the puzzle is like this. The journey starts in the bones when there are Harversian canals. These Harversian canals contain iron, and the iron content of them is inside spores. That's why it never rusts. Good? So that's the puzzle. Iron inside the spore of tetanus. We know that the spore of tetanus harbors the iron. The iron inside spore of tetanus never rusts. So imagine iron in the Harversian canal containing inside spores inside the Harversian canals. They arrange in this way, and later on, or even outside the Harversian canal. Anyhow, never mind. The issue is that the iron is everywhere in the bone, inside, outside Harversian canals. Never matter, but it is inside spores. Okay, inside the spores of the tetanus. Later on, when the dead are dead, we bury the bones or burn it, or anyhow, whatever you do it, keep it never different. All that would happen is the organic materials will fade, and the minerals and the iron inside the spore will remain. The iron inside spore, always, it never rusts. So after burying, it will turn by time at the end. The buried bones at the end, they are turned to steel. Yes, steel. So steel is composed of irons inside spores, surrounded by calcium, magnesium, manganese, selenium, even carbon in carbonated steels. Never matter. With the time, for example, you have a pot. Everyone has a pot for boiling. I will show you that pot. If you imagine the pot, at the bottom of the pot, we have calcifications. You see the calcification in the bottom? It's not from the water, it's from the steel. The calcium will be extracted toward the water in the steel. You see global warming? I see global warming. The calcium is extracted from the steel by the effect of warming of the steel and water. It never produce calcium if you cook a tea in it. You see? I see petrol. The tea have the same color of a petrol. And the tea photons are so dense, we can make from them a very good laser. The photons of the tea are different from the other photons. Anyhow, that's also another information, but I have it, and I have a view of point on it, because the finding of that life cycle is not easy. It's my life journey. Anyhow, you see, there is no calcification at the bottom when you cook a tea. So here, after years and years, we extracted all the calcium with the spores. What remains is the iron. It returned back to iron without spores. Iron without spores, rust. No way, it will rust. Tetanus, here comes back the tetanus and take it and it will return back through. And I think the same thing is right for other bones. All the animals, mammalia, any one bone is the same mechanism. So the equation is very easy. Iron plus spore is equal to steel. Iron alone, it's an ordinary iron. So the information is more than this, and I will talk about it in the same video. It is about 5 minutes till now, so we have time if you have time. Anyhow, the other things which are important, I wrote it in my notebooks. I start with that. We can change everything. We can change everything. I want to talk about the global warming and its relation with the this issue. With this issue, it is simple. We know everyone has CO2 problems. We have a greenhouse problem. It is familiar to everyone. Sorry for the noise. It is the machine of the washing machine. As I said to you, I read this in my home. So apologize me, sometimes the kids will come and make shouting and the machines will go on, and I'm sorry for that. I announced them that they should be calm, but I hope they don't change. Anyhow, now we deal with the issue of carbon dioxide and how it is cycling. So because we understand first of all the cycling of the iron, so now the understand of the cycle of the CO2, because they are very close to each other. Very close to each other. The cycle is like this. I wrote it in the notebook, and it has all the information here. Sorry, I will. It's very noisy. I should close that. I shut it down. It's very tough sound. I have this equation CO2. Write that equation, please. Write that equation. That's my equation for the cycling of the CO2. It may be new for you, but also it is new for me, because even this I want to write it by my name, and it is free for everyone to use it, but should be in my name, because I am sure that nobody write that before, and if written by anyone before me, I'm sorry if you use it, but I didn't bring that from anyone. It is from me. Without reading anything about that equations, I write it. So anyone preceded me in that, I'm sorry for that. It is yours. But if not written before me, I am sorry, it is mine. So, and it is for me, it is free to anyone use it. It's free to anyone use it, and however use it, Americans, Kurdish, Francis, Italians, any human being, and even animals, if they can use it, it's free for them, and I have no problem with that. CO2, everyone now we have iron. The CO2 journey starts with the iron. So now let us to start the global warming life cycle. Global warming life cycle. Global warming life cycle. CO2 is present in the air. For example, in my house, we have electricity. You see the lighters, it's electricity. CO2 is present in the air. CO2 will be taken by metals like iron. Iron. Everyone has an iron lock of the doors. You know? Look at it. Look at it. The iron lock of the doors. Iron lock. I found that in an iron lock of the doors by thinking of it deeply. Carbon dioxide, inside iron, microtunnels. We know the iron has microtunnels inside it. Do you know why? Because it has been previously inside a bone. You know that? Iron was previously inside a bone. True? As we mentioned before, through the spores it go inside the bones, the canals, canaliculi. That's why iron has microtunnels inside it. any iron material, like a lock of the doors has iron inside it. True? So inside these microtunnels, it's just like combing the hair. Combing the hair. Carbon, oxygen are separated. The inside door lock, it will separate to an atom of carbon and the atom of, we have the atom of carbons and atom of oxygen and an atom, and every atom, it will be like this. Carbon plus atom of oxygen and plus another atom of oxygen, C plus O plus O. Chemistry, everyone know that? My father is a chemist. Okay. I am a son of a chemist, man. Anyhow, the carbon is separated and oxygen separated and the other oxygen separated. So all the bonds are separated. All the bonds are separated. All the bonds, carbon, oxygen, and oxygen atoms are inside there. So what happens? Inside that reaction, we have the indicator for direction of this equation is ocean pH. We should know the ocean pH. So, the rust in your house received its OH or proton from the ocean. Believe it or not. It is not in your home. The proton and hydroxides are received from oceans. By what a mechanism, I don't know. I hope that someone answered that question, but they are not from your home. Anyhow, we know that oxygen plus hydrogen proton is equal to H2O, water. So the indicator for direction of this equation is ocean pH. Imagine that you have an ocean, you know that there is acidity in the oceans, true? And there are waters which are alkaline. Okay, so we have difference that. The acidity in pH means proton in the ocean. So where gone the OHs? When gone the OHs? Negative, you know, OH negative. So we have OH negative and we have protons. So where does these, for example, in oceans which are acidic, where does the OH gone? And in the oceans which are alkaline, where does the protons gone or the OH gone? So the indicator is in the oceans. If pH is acidic in the ocean, it means more OH is consumed by the rust of iron. So your missing OH in an ocean acidic is in the rust, consumed by a rust in your house, for example, maybe yours or mine. While if the reverse, it means that we have a steel on the iron inside. What means that? What means that? Okay, I will complete the puzzle and you get the information. CO2 inside microtunnels, it will be separated. So we have, the equation is like that, carbon plus oxygen. If the CO2 in the iron united with two molecules of OH negative, and this OH negative is from ocean, it's not from your home. It will produce two molecules of water, H2O plus H2O. True? H2O plus H2O. But this water is bitter. You are winning. In your house, there is two molecules of H2O produced, but this water is bitter, is not drinkable. You cannot drink that. So, this type of equation occur when you use ordinary iron. It will rust. It will rust. Believe me, iron is rusting even whatever happens, because it uses OH molecules, OH negative molecules from the ocean, not from your home. The reaction occurs in your home. All the other particles are far from here. They are far away. My wife wants to open the machine of washing, so If it's possible, I will turn it off and I will go up to continue that. Anyhow, just a minute, I will take my time and I will go up to continue that, to don't make them problem. Thank you for that. Now we continue. I will go to the room of children. It's empty. I am happy for that. We will continue the things as we wash. What happened is that carbon and oxygen plus oxygen 2OH negatives. True? Ordinary rust. We have the other side of equation, which is carbon plus oxygen plus oxygen. In this equation, we want just one proton, one H plus. So it will turn us back into one molecule of water. You are loser, you know, one molecule of water in your home, you are losing 2 oxygen, but the issue is not like that. This water is drinkable because it's nice, it's not bitter. So we don't know iron from steel or steel from the iron. We don't know that. Hen from chicken, chicken from hen, we don't know that. We can relocate water sources through our decision of the location of the swords and irons. Why? If you have steel, you have a nice water. Wherever you have steel, you have a nice water. Wherever you have iron, you have rust and bitter water. The equation is simple like this. So the difference between iron and steel. Steel produces pure water. No complaints from drinking it by humans. While iron produces alkaline water because it has OH from oceans. Be careful. The water that is formed by an iron and steel, they are not from your home. They are from oceans. They reach through different mechanisms, and I will talk about that now. What we have is the iron and its polarization. We know that iron polarization change between iron and steel. Steel have an iron with different polarization than the ordinary iron metal that rusts. So the rust of iron has a different polarization than the steel, than the ordinary iron. So, and it is steel. So steel has a different polarization than the ordinary iron. And I make it simplicity like this. Iron hologram, that's a hologram of iron. Steel, that's hologram of iron. It is like this. We have different holograms for iron. That's one. And we have the other for you, written by me. And I found that hologram without any microscope, without anything, just by understanding the issue. I gave it the hologram, and that's the complete picture that I have written, and I will read it again for you. We have bones, irons, and steel, and we have polarizations of the iron depending on it is bone or steel or iron. So usually and I gave it the equation about that. You see, that is the equation of the iron cycle, and this equation you never seen that in any book. You see the equation? So I literally say that I learned a new language. Whatever is talking, if it's not understandable, because it is the language of iron. Spore of tetanus, iron inside spores, and I showed you that inside the spores the polarization is changed. You see, pop, 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 pop. That's why we are walking. So what is the benefit of the bones? So this is the other picture, the continuation of that, and I read that for you. There is no steel without iron and tetanus spore and calcium and other materials. So let's to change the history of writing. I use a pen that contain iron spores inside it for a long time, and I find that through the tetanus. Tetanus is the carrier, is the vehicle that makes the change, and tetanus is everywhere. There is any place on the earth that there is no tetanus? Just tell me that. No. All the problem is coming from the tetanus. And many epilepsies. I found that epileptic persons, do you know, epileptic persons, most of them, they have that problem. The issue is rapid change in the polarizations. Because nowadays we use cleaning and other things, so we have tetanus in low doses. So any one possible person to have epilepsy at any time. Believe me, even me, I didn't have epilepsy in my life, but what I did is I simulated epilepsy in all its ways. I simulated in myself. That's what I do. What's my brother and brothers I do. We are scientifically researching that action and motion. For me, I did that many times at home, trying to that, and I never have any epilepsy. I taking cabergoline for research. Never mind. From time to time, I do everything, because when you do a research, you should simulate everything. Okay, how to make an implant of bone made from steel remains longer. Watch the pain in tibial bone, type of nasal discharge, type of all sensations, depending on ocean shift theory. So this I have many names for that, and I write that in the Facebook of my Facebook and in the Twitter. But I am not lucky, man, because my Facebook is empty, no one visiting it, and my Twitter also is nobody visiting it. I gave you that learning, okay? It looked like the sun of Kurdistan. You know, in Kurdistan we have sun as a symbol of our flag. Anyhow, I'm not a nationalist or something like that. I'm a human being, but I love my country. Anyhow, iron is interchanging with the steel. Tetanus, it is spores, is above the equation, and below the equation we have CO2, protons, and OH. Good? That's the equation. Record that. That's the equation. And we have Harvardian canals on the other side of the equation. Now I gave you the other thing near here. So that's the other thing is near here. And that's the other equation. You may not understand that, but it is another hologram. I extracted from the thing. To me, believe it or not believe it, we are on a journey, coming and returning back to our place, but it takes a long time. The black holes that we see is not new for us. We pass through black holes maybe daily, believe me, because according to that, I say that the photons are sometime resting. Yeah, no, not sometime. We are very familiar to the resting photons more than the movable photons. Believe me, we don't know too much about the movable photons, but we know all things about the resting photons. I want to talk about, because also is related to the same issue, so I will talk, however, it is a physics and astronomy or astronomy. So we should talk about that, because it has a relation. If you see that, these are different holograms from different things. And I use that as my equations for the truth. However, it is difficult for you to understand that. I will explain it everything simple شوية شوية مثل ما احنا نقول. And that is the other thing is that I plotted to find my polarizations and other things. And that is also is the, as I told many times, is that the love will show the way. I'm very, you see, I extracted that information from the bones, from their dimensions, and from their present, and I take that bones. I'm studying the bones for a long time. It's easy. You can find it too. It is spotting easy. So I want to talk about the photon journey. However, it is a different subject, but it has relation to that problem. And anyhow, I continue with the issue of the. Sorry, just a minute. Okay. The photon, about the photon is like this. So just record that also, because I will change that. Record that. I will change it. About the photons are not alone. The photons are not alone. Every photon has a wife. It's a magnet. And every photon is about two masses. Two masses connected through another magnet. Okay. So we have a mass through a magnet to another smaller mass. And we have a major mass. Okay? Like this. We have a mass connected through a magnet to another mass, and that is the other magnet. In the production of the photon, the production of the photon occurs only in the suns or hydrogen explosions. It's not occurring on the earth by turning on a light. Be careful. The production of the photon is occurring in the suns far away from us. These photons, they are produced. When they produce it, they have a major electromagnetic wave. They have a major electromagnetic wave encircling all the equation. Encircling all the equation together. That's why we have different photon ages. A photon like that, it is newly born. It's photon, maybe from the explosion of North Korea, or from the sun, or from that inside the core of the sun. This type of the photon, it is not visible by us till now. Before North Korean explosion, not everyone received that photon. Because that's why we don't understand photons. I understand the photon after the explosion of North Korea. I thanking him, because really he discovered that, but he didn't understand it. I understand it, but I didn't explode any bomb. So that's why humans should unite it. They should work and experiment this together. Never do it alone. It's dangerous. Any experiment, even drinking water, should be done together. So regarding experiments, you see, this type of photons, when they are produced, are different from the other photons. The other thing about the photon, you say that the photons are in the speed of light when they are in this form. No, we never saw photons in this form till the experiment of North Korea. Why? Okay, I tell you. Because they are in this way, they are between the protons of the sun, they are kicking them from there to there, there to there, till they lose the outer capsule. Okay? When they will be in this way, they'll be in this way, okay? They are in the speed of light. When they are in this way, they are the speed of light, okay? From this to this. Later on, when they will reach to Earth or anything or a destiny, what will happen? They lose that cover too. It's a magnet. It will be lost again by another one. So we have, that is the other lost, and it will be in this way. Most of our sensations are depending on this, but that's not mean that we don't sense the other two. We sense them. Through these we see black holes. Through these photon we see black holes. Through this one we see moons, we see stars, we see stars and moons. But through this we see on Earth. We see through these on Earth. Later on, it loses the other magnet and remains what? This. It loses the other magnet. It loses the other one. So these two masses with a magnet in between them. This is another one. There is a magnet. So it is. I will make it in shadows and color. I am very familiar with that song. It said, "Far Away." Okay. This one will enter into the bond. We have between atoms, we have bonds. For example, carbon and oxygens have bonds between them. You know that? We have bonds between carbons and oxygens. This particle, which is a photon, will hit these bonds, make vibrations till it rests at it. Till it rests at it. So here, you see, through the magnet, we have two particles. They are arrested. Do you know what are these particles? Okay, I will tell you. If you release the magnet with the small particle, it's electron. If you release the magnet with the big particle, it is it's a photon. It's a photon. That's why we have different frequencies of photons and electrons. Different frequencies. We have sight, smelling, touching, sensation, hearing. All of them are matter of photons and these magnets. Nothing else. So the information is more than this, and I have visitors now. They coming, so I will go and see you later.